We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost. If you want to support the home for the true college football sickos with a donation, help us keep the lights on. Hit that $sign where we make the comment, and I'll get to super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. I want to first thank everybody for a very passionate live show yesterday. The great callers that we had, all of them, Lewis, all of them were absolutely spectacular, especially the ones who disagreed with the fat guy from Minnesota. It was a great show, and I am so thankful, so humbled that you all came on. It was like a 3-hour show. It was great. I loved it. Maybe you all got mad at me, but that's the price you pay. I put out my opinions. You put out your opinions. Sometimes we disagree. And again, I'm going to say it. I've given Brett Yormark more flowers than any other commissioner. by far. But yesterday, I disagree with him on this subject. I don't think it's for the best for the Big 12. We disagree. Have I taken some personal shots? Yes, I've taken a lot of personal shots since last show, yesterday. It is the price to be in the arena. You put out your opinion. Sometimes it's not enough for people to disagree with you. They really got to go after you. They got to go after your character. But anyways, that's the way it is. I'm going to bring up Brett Yormark a little bit today. I thought he said something that was quite interesting. I don't, let's get to it right away here. By the way, we did an episode about the polls. There is a push to banish the polls, not just the preseason polls, but the early season polls inside the Big 12. Go check out that episode 446. It is not a membership only episode. It is for everybody. Go check it out when you get an opportunity. Before we do the roll call, Pete Thamel, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark to ESPN on the importance of getting 2 teams in the college football playoffs. I think it credentializes our progress. I think we need to. And it's on the football programs to perform at a high level and to get there. Yormark added, we need multiple teams and we need to win a college football playoff game. Here's the thing. I'm not even going to go at it from... A lot of people are going at this from an angle of, well, Brett Yormark, you could have your 2 bids every single year automatically if you were for the auto bids. But I'm not even going to, that is not what I'm going after. I'm not even going to talk about that in these comments. There's something else here. I'm going to leave these comments up when I talk about this. I get it. The Big 12 wants to win college football playoff games. I get it. But here's the problem. I do not think you should put so much importance into one year, into one season. This is what I felt about the Southeastern Conference last year. They got 3 teams in. Now, I agreed with the committee. Most, if not all, but most Southeastern Conference fans thought the committee did the SEC wrong last year. I think a lot of it was the Southeastern Conference, or at least its fan base, a grand majority of them put so much emphasis on the 2024 season, the first year of the expanded playoffs. And when they didn't get the 4, when they didn't get the 5 or whatever, they lost it. And I said at the time, I've said after, I'm saying it today, I say it almost every single week. Last year did not change the perception of the Southeastern Conference. The Southeastern Conference is still the most powerful, valuable football conference in the country. And now every time I say that, I get berated by Big Ten people, but that is my opinion. And I think it's backed up by data. Just like yesterday's argument. I believe my argument was backed up by data. I think the Southeastern Conference is the most powerful. It's the best football conference in the country. I think the gap has naturally closed because of all the changes. I don't think any of that changes because the SEC only got 3 teams in last year. I don't think it's the death knell for the SEC. I would say the same thing for the Big 12. No, I get it. I get it. Your mark is challenging. I mean, they already know this. Big 12, all these schools are doing all they can, just like everybody else, to try to win games, to try to make the playoffs. But here's the thing. When your mark says it's on the football program to perform at a high level to get there, you can have in the future, and I'm just going to use the Big 12 as the example, the Big 12 football conference, none of these conferences can be judged solely on how many teams make the playoffs. There's a combination of non-conference, big wins, records in these bowl games, even though they mean a little less, although they might be starting to mean a little bit more because these players are going to get paid to play in them. And then how many teams you make it into the playoffs, how many teams go on to win playoff games, and who wins the national championship. It's all tied in, but you can have a Big 12 season that is spectacular. You can have 5 really good Big 12 teams that are among the top 16 in the country, but because they beat themselves up, they're gonna cure the losses. The scheduling, a lot has to do with the scheduling, and the Big 12 might only get 1 team in. But it doesn't mean that the teams did not play at a very high level, or you could have a season in which there are 2 really good Big 12 teams, and the rest of them don't measure up. They're not a top 25 team. And now the Big 12 might get 2 in that season. I do not think you can solely judge the performance of the Big 12 schools based on how many teams get to the playoffs. There's a lot of other variables at stake. So when Brett Yormark says on the importance of getting 2 teams in, I think it credentializes our progress. I think we need to. And it's on the football programs to perform at a high level to get there. My only point is, and I get why I understand. Look, I get it. I mean, the Big 12 wants to, the ACC wants to do better, and the Big 10 wants to get 4 teams in and 3. But I don't think the commissioner, just my opinion, I don't think you should put so much pressure on one season. Because if the Big 12 gets just 1 team in again because they all beat up on each other, but they're really good teams. And the SEC has 5 really good teams, like great teams, and the Big 10 might have 3. What if the Big 12 only gets 1 team in there? And then you got these comments back from Yormark. He put a lot of pressure on this one season. That's my point. I don't, maybe I'm being naive. My predictions for the next college football playoffs. I've got 3 Big Ten teams in. I don't got 4. I don't got 5. I got 3. Do I think the Big Ten's going to be worse this year than last year? No, I don't, actually. But when you look at the conference schedules, it's more even. I just got it projected that Michigan doesn't quite get there. Illinois doesn't quite get there. A lot of teams don't, but I'm not going to downgrade the Big Ten like many of you are because they only get 3 teams in. The SEC, in my opinion, had a down year. Maybe the Big Ten has a down year this year. Maybe the Big 12, maybe the ACC. But to take so much importance in one year, I think is a mistake. But again, I'm probably being naive. I think you got to look over 3, 4, 5 years, right? That's why, look, the Big Ten people out there, we won the last 2 national championships. We've done great in bowl games and yada, yada, yada. All that's good. I don't blame Big Ten people for bringing it up. But when I come in the studio and I get behind the mic and I'm breaking down all these teams and I'm reading, I'm watching, I'm listening, the SEC is still the best football conference in the nation. And that's after 2 years of the Big Ten really doing good in all aspects. So but I get it. The ACC and the Big 12, there is some, we got to get going here. Big 12's got to win a playoff game here. TCU did it, but we need to happen again. I get all that. I'm just nervous about Brett Yormark putting so much emphasis, putting a benchmark of 2. We need to get 2 in. So I'm not going at it from the angle of the automatic qualifiers versus the 5+11. I'm not having that discussion today unless you want to have that discussion in a super chat or with a phone call. Then we'll talk about it. But that's what I wanted to bring up. Yes, I get accused of everything. I'm evil in so many different directions. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, we've got a show today. First of all, let's do a roll call. I appreciate everybody. Skaven, yes, yes. Hello, Mad Gopher. Skaven, yes, yes. This evil Gopher stood up for your Nebraska Cornhuskers yesterday. I don't really ever do that. I mean, on the football field, Dylan Raiola is going to have a great season. Nebraska's going at least 8-4, all that stuff. But I'm talking about, I like to throw the Cornhuskers the elbow when I get a chance. But yesterday, I had to stand up for Nebraska. It made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But it was the right... What Scott Frost said yesterday was absolutely... Well... He was not a professional when he was in Lincoln, Nebraska. Every Cornhusker fan knows that. Even though that they love the guy for what he did as a quarterback, but he was not a professional as a head coach at Nebraska. All indications are leading for us to believe he's still not a professional. We'll see what happens. Ryan Brooks is in the house. Richard L. is here. The Florida man. Charlie Atwood. Coy Vox Quindaro. Good afternoon, Swivel Eyes. 16 at-large bids. No automatic qualifiers. If you miss at 17, do better. MBM has spoken. Oklahoma State Cowboy. John Dry is in the house. Texas Tech could win every men's and women's sport without having men play in a women's sport. Wow. Still Austin is here. The Architect is here. Yeah. You got that right. Gold Black 45. Hello, my fellow cult members. Daniel Gygax is in the house. Mr. Mountaineer. Stormy Cyclone. We did the Iowa State Spotlight yesterday. Today, we're doing the Auburn Tigers. We're doing the Auburn Tigers. They are under the PATC Spotlight. Are they going to melt under that spotlight? I don't think so. I think Auburn is going bowling. I think Auburn is going to save Hugh Freeze's job this year. Or I should say, Hugh Freeze is going to save Hugh Freeze's job this year. Sam Pittman, he might lose his. But I think Auburn's head coach is going to survive. You all might think I'm crazy. Put it down in the chat room. We're going to put Auburn, War Eagle, the Tigers, under the PATC spotlight here in a couple of minutes. Adrian Archer is in the house. The Fox says he can save the hen house. Let me get through the roll call. Adrian Archer. King Spleen is in the Gold Knowles. CFP must have automatic qualifiers as long as a committee and one single network is involved. Humble Bumbleduck is in the house. Benjamin Griffin is here. Jeff Morgan is here. Bo Weevil, Go Clemson is in the house. The Big Lubbock. Jeff Morgan is here. Great rant. I haven't even got on a rant yet, Jeff, but I'm about to. You talking about yesterday? I got so many people upset with me yesterday, but I'm glad you all have given me a second chance. A second chance to redeem myself. But I'm going to say this. I was authentic yesterday. As much as you all disagree with me, as you all believe the cheese have slipped off my cracker, that was my authentic self yesterday. BYU football is in the house. S. Fama is here. Nerf is here. Don Scruggs, Georgia Bulldogs, is in the house. Chris Kenny. Go Cats. Don't back the Big Ten Bear in a corner because the Bear will bite back. Ryan Willie. We'll talk a little bit about that, Chris Kenny. Ryan Willie is in the house. The Eva Badger. Colorado Bucks. Congratulations, Coach Fleck. Yeah, he got another extension. I don't know. It's kind of a... Congratulations. I'm very happy. Look, I'm very happy, but it happens every year. So, now, the University of Minnesota athletic department this year is $9 million in the hole. They're doing the full $20.5 million rev share, blah, blah, blah. More scholarships here and there. I think the athletic department revenue shot up to 173 or 165 or whatever. It don't matter because they're spending more than they're taking in and they got a plan to fill in that gap. I haven't read the articles. It came out today. The athletic department is they're gonna fill that gap up. And they're still giving, they're still spending money, just like everybody else. Chris Cheese in the house. Greg melted down. He's warming up for the season. Yeah. It's going to be an emotional season. I'm going to have some... I'm going to break up mentally during the season. Last year I cried. I mean, for God's sakes. First game of the season, North Carolina and Minnesota. even before kickoff, I'm sitting here in front of the microphone, and we all learned that Darius Taylor wasn't going to play in the opener again, just like the year before. And then the Minnesota Golden Gophers kicker misses a couple chip shots. The first game right out of the gate broke me. I was a broken man. And of course, I think that loss, that opening day loss, created this.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away.
The cold.
But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away.
There was a lot of depression last year. A lot of sadness.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you but I can't control the pain. If
it ain't gonna happen again.
Maybe we could be okay.
Not this year.
Okay, maybe
not
you
this
could
year.
be the change I need.
No, that's not happening. This is happening. This is happening. Winning 60% or higher of the picks against the spread in 2025. Book it. So, Greg the Cold is gone. You should not see that artwork again. You should not hear that song again from Greg the Cold. Not during the season, because I'm not going to have a losing week. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. Okay. No. That song, Go Black 45, that song is in the YouTube music selection, and it's free royalty, and I'm not going to have any copy strikes. I only use music and sounds that do not get me in trouble. Everything you hear, I've got 0 copy strikes. I'm sitting with 0. That song was available. I used it. I think it's the perfect song. Tony, nope. No. Ryan Willie. Big Ten haters, don't come crying with ESPN and SEC. Screw the Big 12 and the college football playoffs. ESPN and SEC will screw the Big 12 just like Florida State. Thank you, Ryan Willie, for the super chat. Thank you for all of your support. I appreciate it. Appreciate it so very much. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thanks for starting us off here. Okay, so let's get to it here. I appreciate everybody coming on in. Rod Nix, BYU football, the almighty Finn, Tim Bells, everybody. Everybody, thank you for coming on in. I very much appreciate it. The architect is getting excited. So am I. D5 Terps is here. Mr. Terrapin is in the house. Jeff Morgan, I'm buying Greg the Gold this year. How many years in a row? That's true. It's mathematically impossible for me not to be a winner this year. Don't you understand? It's out of my hands. It's math. It's simple math. Boy, you guys are going to learn quick. You are going to learn quick and hard. Week 0, week 1, week 2. Greg the Gold, Greg the Gold, Greg the Gold. It's going to happen. Absolutely correct. Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about Cody Campbell. The Big Lubbock, we're going to talk about Cody Campbell. An incredibly successful person, charismatic, very smart. The question is he going to be the true deal maker? We're going to go through a USA Today article. Cody Campbell has become President Donald Trump's point person. Well, we think he's become Donald Trump's point person. It wasn't said directly. It was sort of said indirectly. We'll get to it. I got a lot to say about the vision of all these schools going under one single payer. That's not even a good term, but that's what people keep using. A one single media negotiations. Somehow that's going to bring all this money into the coffers of everybody. And it's going to save college sports. I've got some questions. I've asked them before. I've never gotten a good answer. I've never gotten an answer. I'm going to bring it up again at the back end of the monologue. I put it on my Twitter account, my X account. I think a lot of you probably seen it. Let me post it real quick, and then we'll get back to it. This is my point, and we're going to get back to it. So let me get this straight. If the top SEC and Big Ten branded schools eliminated the bottom 6 of their conference schools, for their next media negotiations, they will make more money for each of those top brand schools. That's what I keep getting told in the comments section every single week. Great. If Ohio State and Michigan, if they just went their own way, if they just lobbed off Purdue, Northwestern, Rutgers, Maryland, Minnesota, Ohio State and Michigan would be so much better off. I get told that constantly in the chat room. However, the same people, mostly the same people who keep bringing that up, bring this up. But if there is a single media negotiations for Rudy Project 72 schools, everyone makes more money. I'm not buying it. It makes logically no sense. Nobody is buying it in Big Ten country. So let me get this straight. If you eliminate Minnesota, Purdue, Northwestern, let's just take 4. I'm going to use Minnesota because I don't want anybody accused of me of being a homer, whatever. Minnesota, Purdue, Northwestern, Rutgers. Eliminate those 4 teams. The other Big Ten schools are going to make more, correct? Correct? That's what you all think. But, no, Greg. Yeah, that happens. But if you add UCF, Houston, Baylor, BYU, Oklahoma State, Wake Forest, Boston College, Florida State, Clemson. If you add everybody in the ACC and the Big 12, suddenly everyone's going to make more money, including Ohio State. Logically, it makes no sense. We'll get back to it in the back half of this monologue. There's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of stuff being thrown around. A lot of shots are being taken. And if you notice, the title of this show, Cody Campbell becomes Trump's point person on saving college football. Okay? It's time the bear pokes back. In other words, you keep poking the bear, at some point the bear is going to poke back. There's a lot of shots being taken out there. Cody Campbell has got a lot of power. He is Trump. We're going to go through the article. There's a lot of people in power that are pushing for the interest of Big 12 and ACC institutions. No question about it. The people that are pushing for the interest of the Big 12 and ACC schools, I've got nothing against it, man. Go for it. You're not pushing for the interest of the AAC. You're not pushing for the interest of the Sun Belt. Remember, Project Rudy eliminates not all of them, but almost all those schools. That's what it does. Project Rudy makes it so those top 70 brands, 72 brands, don't play those other schools. You know, to make sure they make all that money, supposedly. So this thing about doing it for the best of college sports, no, you're not. No, you're not. What you're doing is you're trying to make it so there's no risks to the schools in the Big 12 and the ACC, and you get all the benefits. The ones below you get none of the benefits. And the ones on top, they're taking all the risks. That is the game that is being played. Now, I don't blame Cody Campbell. I don't blame Cody Campbell a bit. He is working it, ladies and gentlemen. He's working for the interest of Texas Tech. You might even want to say he's working it for the interest of the Big 12. If you want to add on to that, you might want to say he's working for the interest of Texas Tech, the Big 12, and the ACC. But I'm not going to sit here and say that he's working for the interest of everybody. He's not the savior. He's cutting the legs out under from G5. And the Big Ten and the SEC have zero reasons to go down that path that Cody Campbell is trying to get Trump to go down that path. I've got nothing against Cody Campbell. He's working it. He's using his money. He can use his money however he wants. He can push all the power levels, all he wants. He's living in a country with all the freedoms. He can do whatever he wants. I've got nothing against the effort. But the results, I do not agree with. Number one. Number two, Cody Campbell is working for the interests of Texas Tech, of the Big 12. Possibly even, you can make the argument of the ACC. But there are other people out there that are working for the interests of institutions in the SEC and the Big Ten. They've got connections to senators and congressmen and congresswomen, and they're going to push their levels. And they're going to work for the best interest. And then you got the G5 schools. 99% of them don't want anything to do with Project Rudy. They think that's an absolute catastrophe. And it is. So when Cody Campbell stands up there and says, for the betterment of college sports, for the betterment of a certain alleyway, I feel like Cody Campbell is trying to sell me a cheeseburger. The fat guy from Minnesota ain't buying it. I'm not eating it. But I understand why people love what he's saying. I understand why people are supporting what he's saying. And I've got no problem with him doing what he's doing. But it ain't happening. He ain't going to be the deal maker. Let me know how wrong I got it. Put it in the comments section. Light me up with a phone call, and we'll get to it in a little bit. That is going to be the main story in our monologue. No, but the first thing we got to do, and I feel a little bit of positivity. Around the Auburn Tigers. Quarterback Jackson Arnold, transfer from Oklahoma. 1,400 yards last year passing. 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 62.6% completion rating. 124.8 quarterback rating. Ran for 444 yards. Now, Jackson Arnold, not a great quarterback rating. He ran for like 3 yards per rush. He was always getting rushed. But the main problem that Jackson Arnold had was the Oklahoma Sooners wide receiver room was almost completely decimated last year. It was like Jackson Arnold was swimming across the river with a 100-pound backpack on his back. So I think Jackson Arnold, I think he's going to show everybody a little bit more juice this year. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback this year. And let me tell you the main reason. Well, we're going to get to the main reason why. Okay? We're going to get to the main reason why. First of all, then the next player that we're going to put up here in the Auburn spotlight is a good reason, is a good example of why we do this during the off season. Why, Greg, do you spend so much time talking about college football during the off season? Why do you have these spotlights? Well, this is a good example why. Darrell Robinson, running back, UConn last season, transferred to Auburn. A big get for the Auburn Tigers. Darrell Robinson was tremendous last year. Now, he was a freshman, and I want to say he was at Charlotte. I could have that wrong. But he was somewhere as a freshman, a true freshman, and he only played 4 games. So when he went to UConn, he was still considered a redshirt freshman. Last year was his first year at UConn, redshirt freshman, 731 yards rushing, almost a 7 yards per rush, 8 rushing touchdowns, 14 receptions. Now you go on YouTube. Go on your Google machine. Go on your Google machine. Look at the highlights of Darrell Robinson. If you don't get him at the line of scrimmage, you're going to have a hard time catching Darrell Robinson. Now, Auburn does have an experienced running back, Damari Alston, who ran almost for 300 yards. He might be RB1, and Darrell Robinson might be RB2, but Darrell Robinson could be the difference maker for the Auburn Tigers going into the season. I'm very excited to see what Darrell Robinson can do behind the Auburn offensive line, quarterback Jackson Arnold, and with these threats on the outside. Cam Coleman, true freshman last year, 37 receptions, 598 yards, 16.2 average per reception, 8 receiving touchdowns. Cam Coleman came into the college football world last season with a lot of hype. Not quite as much as Jeremiah Smith. He played good. Cam Coleman played good. And look, Jackson Arnold is an upgrade at the quarterback position. The wide receivers that Auburn has is a huge upgrade from what Jackson Arnold had at Oklahoma last season. So, again, there's reason to be optimistic at Auburn, in my opinion. Put down your comments. Cam Coleman, if he stays healthy, he's going to improve on these numbers. And what did Auburn do besides get Darrell Robinson in the portal? They got this man, Eric Singleton. Spectacular season last year at Georgia Tech. Eric, the bubble screen Singleton, 56 receptions, 754 yards, 13.5 yards per catch, 3 receiving touchdowns. Eric Singleton, give them that bubble screen. Give him that first down flat pass. He'll get you 6, 7, 8, 9 yards. He'll set you up. Eric Singleton was a big force at Georgia Tech the last couple of years. He goes in the portal and he joins Cam Coleman. So you've got Cam Coleman. You've got Eric Singleton. You've got Darrell Robinson. You've got Jackson Arnold with weapons. Auburn. They're going to go bowling. And then Keldrick Falk, for whatever reason, seems to get no respect. He's almost like the Rodney Dangerfield of SEC football. You know, he gets named to the first team all SEC team, and everybody knocks Keldrick Falk. I don't know why. First of all, he's got great measurables. He's got really good stats. He plays really good. Last year was his second season in college football. And he improved greatly on he had a good freshman season. If he improves again, it goes up to another level. Keldrick Falk is going to be a monster this season for the Auburn Tigers. This is the Auburn football schedule. Baylor, August 29th at Baylor. We've talked about this game. I'm a big believer in Baylor. I've got the Baylor Bears going to the Big 12 championship game. Now, this is the type of game that the Big 12, we talked about it earlier. It would be great if Baylor could win this game. Obviously. Right? But Auburn, they start out at Baylor, Ball State. You go right down they start their SEC schedule at Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, home against Georgia, home against Missouri. Auburn's going to have to go 1-3 or 2-2. You should go 2-2. Your goal should be 2-2. You got Arkansas, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. Then you got Mercer, which, whatever. I don't care if you're playing Mercer, but to play them November 22nd is an embarrassment. But, again, every time I take a shot at the Southeastern Conference, the Big 12 and the ACC fans do not like it. The Southeastern Conference fans in the chat room, they just kind of laugh at me. But the ACC and the Big 12, you guys do not like it when I take a shot at the Southeastern Conference. Mercer on November 22nd. Then, of course, the Iron Bowl, Auburn and Alabama. I see 7 wins, possibly 8 for Auburn. This year, they're going to take a step up. They were 5-7 last year, 2-6 in the conference. They're not going 2-6 in the conference this year. 4-4 should be their goal. So I think Auburn is going to do just good enough. I think Hugh Freeze is going to keep his job. And I think the Auburn Tiger fan base is going to get a little bit more excited. I think they're going to buy in more. So I see a successful season for the Auburn Tigers. Put down your comment section and let me know how wrong I got it once again. The Auburn Tigers going 7-5, 8-4, but they are going bowling. Jackson Arnold, Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, Darrell Robinson. They got some weapons. They've got some weapons for Jackson Arnold. Now we're going to see the real Jackson Arnold. And hopefully for the Auburn fans, he takes it up a couple of levels. Okay, there is your spotlight. There is your PATC spotlight. Auburn Tigers. Join us tomorrow, Thursday, July 10th. We're going to have a new team under the spotlight. Who is it going to be? Who is it going to be? Let's get to Cody Campbell. Let's get to Cody Campbell. Again, you know what? I just screwed that up. Again, let me make sure you guys can read this. Yeah, I think that's better. Again, I do not fault Cody Campbell. I have no problem with him spending money on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I've got no problem with him spending NIL money. As long as it's commercial deals, it's great. I have no problem with the Texas Tech Red Raiders getting all the support, improving their football program, battling for the Big 12 championship, winning a national championship. That would be exciting for West Texas, for Lubbock, for Red Raider Nation. I've got no problem with any of it. It's all legal. It's all ethical. It's all good. Got no problem with Cody Campbell trying to use his influence to establish something different in college sports. However, I'm not buying what he's selling. I'm not. And a lot of people are not. And while Cody Campbell is rich, smart, successful, charismatic, powerful, so are other people on the other side of the line. And I don't think there's any way Cody Campbell is going to realize his vision of college sports. In my opinion, he's not truly saving it. Even if he got everything he wanted, he will not be saving it. He's pushing the interest of Texas Tech and the Big 12. He's leaving a lot of people out, and he's bringing down a lot of people to meet his interests. Again, I'm not blaming him, but the pushback is also real. Dallas. This is Matt Hayes, USA Today Network. This is a long article. We're not going to go through this whole article. I'm going to try to skip a lot of parts, give you the most important parts. So bear with me. We're not going to go through this whole thing. We're going to get to your phone calls. Dallas, he doesn't need this. He can walk away right now, leave the unseemly unraveling of college sports to someone else. Hop on a plane, escape to Washington, D.C., and the land of everybody's got an angle. Be home in the Metroplex in a matter of hours. An amateur sports world of turmoil in his wake. Or he could do what he's always done, fix the problem. I built and sold $15 billion worth of companies, Cody Campbell says. I'm not a dumbass. Of all the upheaval, of all the unthinkable moves over the last 4 years that have drastically changed college sports, none would be more improbable than this. A deep pocket booster, a capital investment savant, saving college football and by proxy, college sports from itself. He knows what you're thinking. What does a billionaire businessman at Texas Tech sports sugar daddy know about saving college football? The logical response, what do university presidents know? Because they're men and women in charge of it now and doing a catastrophically poor job of it. Cody Campbell, part of Donald Trump's team. We're going to get to this, and then we're going to skip to the back end of the article. Cody Campbell, part of Donald Trump's team. At this point, the only thing that matters is the most powerful man in the world believes Campbell has a chance to assess the problems of college sports with its front porch moneymaker football and fix it. Though the White House hasn't officially announced it, President Trump and Campbell, a former offensive lineman at Texas Tech in the early 2000s, have spoken at length about how to fix the problems of the last 4 years of the paradigm change within college sports. Change that seems to be inevitably led to the downsize, in some cases, the elimination of women's and Olympic sports. There won't be a commission. There will not be a commission, but hold on, everybody. Hold on. There ain't going to be a commission. But this whole thing is going to follow much in the same way that Trump deals with other problems. He finds a point person, and that person reports directly to him. When asked if he were that person, Campbell said, I've been in conversations with President Trump for quite some time now, and the one thing I can tell you is he cares very much about preserving and maintaining college sports. So Cody Campbell does not deny that he's the point person. Does not deny that he's President Trump's point person. There's not going to be a commission, but there's Cody Campbell. Cody Campbell. I don't want to see it die. And we can all see it dying. Cody Campbell. Is Cody Campbell part of the problem and solution? So the article goes on, and Cody Campbell talks about how he's given all the money, a lot of money to Texas Tech, College World Series, Softball World Series. Again, I will provide a link in the description box below the video. You can read the whole thing. USA Today. This was published yesterday. They're chasing the Big Ten and the SEC, the two super conferences who have seized control of the present and future of college sports. There's currently only one way for schools and other conferences to reach them and compete them at the same level, with cold, hard cash. And I got no problem with Cody Campbell spending his cold, hard cash for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It's his money. He can do what he wants with it. As long as those NIL deals are commercial and they pass through the Deloitte clearinghouse, it's all good to me. And they probably will pass the clearinghouse. It talks about, again, more about Cody Campbell's support. But this is much bigger than that. This is about sports and society and protecting a unique opportunity for all, not just for the 34 schools in the Big Ten and the SEC or other universities fortunate to have a deep pocket boosters to bridge any financial divide. When he dives into something to fix it, there's no stone left unturned, said Texas Tech football coach Joey McGuire. He's going to find a way. There's a reason officials in the Big Ten and the SEC recoil at the mention of Campbell. It's not just his brash use of existing NIL rules, but his public declarations that college sports is dying with a current caste system of winners and losers. The winners, the Big Ten and the SEC, with their billion-dollar media rights deals separating them from the rest of college sports. The losers, everyone else with the media rights deals less than half of what the Big Ten and the SEC learn. The reorganization of college sports. Now, we're going to get to your phone calls here in just a minute. There's a lot to the article, but we're going to finish it up here. The reorganization of college sports over the last 4 years is all about money, those making it and those losing it. But Campbell has a different idea. Share the wealth. Cody Campbell has a different idea. Share the wealth. Increase revenue and watch college sports grow like never before. What does a billionaire businessman know about saving college sports, you ask? More than you think. Campbell wants to share the wealth. It talks more about Cody Campbell. It talks a lot about Cody Campbell, personal life. Cody Campbell wants to share the wealth. Cody Campbell supports all these schools and all these conferences getting together and negotiating their media rights at one time, and then having the potential media partners bid on this one huge packet of content. So, again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier in the program. I've asked this question 12, 13, 14, 15 different times. Never gotten an answer. Why would this bring in more money? Why? Why would media companies pay for a 70-team Super League more money than they pay the schools in the Southeastern Conference? How? What games are they getting? What structure? Are we going into these 7 different divisions of 10 teams again? What are we? Why would that bring on more money? Again, I keep getting told by everybody, Greg, be careful. Greg, be careful. Because the Big Ten, top 10 teams, top 8 teams could break away and they all could make more money. You know what? I agree with you all. I agree that the top Big Ten and the top SEC teams could go break away and make way more money than they do now. I agree. But the problem is you can't possibly say that and then reverse yourself and say those top Big Ten and SEC brands would make more money if they included 70 schools into the media negotiations. That does not make any logical sense at all. It is completely absence of logic. It doesn't make any sense. Sorry, it doesn't. And the Big Ten and the SEC knows this. Or if you want me to be more fair, that's their perception. Why in the hell would they agree to any of this? Why would the Big Ten give up the Big Ten network? Again, yesterday's live show, I've been told by a lot of you that the Big Ten is in trouble. The Big Ten ratings are bad. They're in trouble. They need the play-in games. They need this automatic qualifier model. They're in trouble. And I'm sitting here going, so we're gonna delude Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State content even more, and that's going to make everybody richer? The Big Ten Network has Nielsen ratings. The reason why the Big Ten Network has Nielsen ratings is because the Big Ten Network asked for it. Because they figured there's so many people watching the Big Ten Network. They have broken all their volleyball records, hockey records, basketball, football records the last couple of years. If they could get it Nielsen rated, then they could get more ad money. And that's exactly what has happened at the Big Ten Network. Even though the numbers in this world of cable that is dying, the subscription numbers were coming down before the addition of USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon. But even as the subscription numbers were going down, the ad revenue was making up for it in more, the increase in ad revenue. Is the Big Ten supposed to give up the Big Ten Network? Is the SEC supposed to give up the SEC Network? It doesn't make any logical sense. The Big 12. The Big 12 has been acting on their own interest. Their own. They have. They've been doing the exact same thing as the Southeastern Conference. They've been doing the exact same thing as the Big Ten Conference. The Big 12 wasn't looking out for the Pac-12 entity. The Big 12 has done things for the betterment of their institutions. They're looking to push their brand globally. They're doing everything the Big Ten and the SEC doing. The Big 12 is not looking out for the Mountain West Conference. The Big Ten is not looking out for the MAC. The Southeastern Conference is not looking out for the Sun Belt. Collectively, the Power Four conferences have protected themselves to get the G6 schools involved in the playoff access, which I was a big supporter of and continue to be. But nobody's sharing the wealth with anybody. Suddenly, Notre Dame and a few other people and Cody Campbell, they want this Project Rudy. And they're trying to sell President Trump, most likely, that everybody can make way more money if we all get together and sell our content as one. You know, the Big Ten added Washington and Oregon, and they came in as a half share. But yet, if the Big Ten and the SEC added everybody into one meeting negotiations, everyone's going to make way more money? It doesn't make any sense. I understand this. BYU football, without playing games, the Big Ten will never get any money. More money. Sankey knows this, and he's cutting off your nuts for the better of the SEC. This was said 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The Big Ten's going to make more money in the next media deal. It's going to be a massive deal. Could be a little bit less than the SEC, could be a little bit more. But suddenly, again, BYU is a good example. BYU football, thank you for coming on in. But you're a very good example of this. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, they should get away from these other Big Ten schools. Oh, wait, they should include us. Make it make sense. It doesn't. And by the way, Cody Campbell's world, the Project Rudy world, cuts the legs off under the Sun Belt, the MAC, all these schools. Because in Project Rudy, the top 70, 72 teams will no longer play the G6 schools. So we're not sharing the wealth. What we're doing is cutting off the very poor and letting them go away, dissolve. So this ain't sharing the wealth with everybody. Basically, it's this. Let me know how wrong I got it, but basically it's this. I got no complaints about Cody Campbell pushing this, but I'm going to push back. Because what really Cody Campbell is doing is he continues, and he should, look out for the best interests of Texas Tech. But the best interest of Texas Tech is not the best interest of Tennessee. The best interest of Texas Tech is not the best interest of the Purdue Boilermakers. It's not. This vision that Cody Campbell is pushing, and he's got all the right to. He's got all the right to whisper in President Donald Trump's ear. All what he's doing is all to the benefit of Texas Tech, but they take none of the risk. They don't have any skin in the game. It's the Buckeyes, Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia that is going to provide the value. They're going to provide the skin. And at the same time, a lot of people in the Big 12 and the ACC say, well, you shouldn't be doing that for your 100-year partners in the Big 10 and the SEC. But then again, you should be doing that for us. That is the argument. That's how I see it. And it is shared through a lot. That's why the SEC and the Big Ten recoils at this. It's like, why would we do this? Why? It's not for the betterment of college sports, in their opinion and in my opinion. It's for the betterment of Texas Tech, for the betterment of Kansas, for Kansas State, possibly. But it's not for the betterment of those below you. It's not for the betterment of those that make more than you. Now, if someone can explain to me why a 70-team media negotiations is going to bring on more money than an 18-team Big Ten negotiations or the SEC. And again, why wouldn't the Big Ten and the SEC do it together? If you're looking at bundling more content together, more valuable, why wouldn't those two conferences do it together? Now, I've had some DMs who say, Greg, you're missing the problem here. This is political. Cody Campbell is going to get Donald Trump. They're going to be able to pull this off. Everyone's going to have to come together. The 70 teams are going to come together. Greg, this is happening. You do not understand the power of the billionaire. You do not understand the power of Donald Trump. You do not understand the power of government. Even if it doesn't make sense, Greg, it's happening. Minnesota is going to be playing Kansas State in a Midwest divisional football game, and that's the bottom line, and you're going to like it. My response to that is, there are other powerful people that are saying, God, no, we're not doing it. There's a lot of power on the other side as well. Cody Campbell, God bless him, doing a great job for Texas Tech. I've got no problem with them pushing all this. But there are other billionaires out there. There are other politicians out there that are connected to the big institutions of the Big Ten and the SEC. That is why I think this is, once again, I don't think this is going anywhere. Big article, USA Today, Cody Campbell whispering in Donald Trump's ear, big movement afoot. I don't think so. That's just my opinion. Let me know your opinions. I'm going to open up the phone lines. You can give me a call and tell me how wrong I am. The phone line number is 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Kayla Ramirez. Eventually the Big Ten and the SEC schools will get tired of all this, and they will do their own thing. Thank you, Kayla Ramirez, for the membership. A member for 19 months. Mr. Buckeye, wow. Thank you so much for being a member for 19 months. You are hereby knighted, cloak, and dagger. Thank you so very much.
Call from
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger, can you wait 1 second, please?
Yes.
I apologize, sir. I very much apologize. Hold on, Evil Badger. Hold on. Go Black 45. Greg, don't forget in the Project Rudy, there's tiers to it. First tier is the Blue Bloods. Yeah. I mean, and of course, that's not sharing the loot, right? That's not sharing the money. You still got tiers, right? Look, you're not going to put Wisconsin and Minnesota in the same football division with Big 12 schools. Again, nothing against Big 12 schools. Nothing. Or ACC schools or SEC schools. The Big 10 schools want to play with Big 10 schools. That's how it's been for over 100 years. USC left by their own decision making. The government did not force USC to join the Big Ten. That's not how it happened. Nobody forced the Big 12 to make their media deal. No one forced the Big Ten to make their media deal. No one forced the SEC to make their media. Nobody forced the Big Ten to take that risk to create the Big Ten network. In fact, people laughed at the Big Ten. Suddenly, all that has to get reversed. But now the government's going to force this 70 team. I'm not buying this. Again, I'm not buying any of it. But I'm bringing it up because I'm giving everybody an opportunity to say, fat guy from Minnesota, you are wrong. This is going to happen. Shut your mouth, Greg. Shut your mouth. Ryan Willie, the Evil Badger, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
For all the Big 12, Big 10 haters out there, do they honestly think that this new Super League is going to help them out? Honestly? And any team that is in the Super League, all the big teams are taking a risk of all these losses against other bigger name schools and not being as relevant in this league as they would be separately. Two, the teams in the Big Ten would destroy Big 12 teams. Big 12 doesn't. The Big 12 and Pac, when there was a Pac-12, did not get good ratings because they're out west and not as populated out there as the Midwest and East Coast are. And it doesn't make sense to try and force a socialistic idea down people's throats. One, it's not going to happen for several years if it ever happens, because there's going to be so many losses, it's not going to be funny. So I don't get it. Why all the Big Ten hate?
Well, there's a lot of it. There is a lot of it. There is. You understand what I'm saying. I'm a no question about it. I have my biases. I'm a Golden Gopher. I love watching Big 12 football. I love watching ACC football. I love watching SEC football. I love watching South Dakota, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. I love watching all this type of football. But I got to tell you, most of the people in the PATC family can't stand the Big Ten football. They think half the conference shouldn't even exist, that it's lousy football. I think in some other regions of the country, I don't know, they don't. I don't know, man. There is a lot of hate, and I see it every day in the chat. You should see my DMs. It's truly unbelievable. But I guess that's college football. But I think that has led people to an unbelievably bad, faulty perceptions. Like the Big Ten contract is not a good one. I mean, that is... These networks are making money hand over fist. ESPN is making money hand over fist with the ACC content. You don't think Fox, CBS, and NBC are making hand over fist with the Big Ten content? But most people in the PATC family don't think that is true. Go ahead, Ryan Willie.
Well, I'll leave you with this because I got to get going.
You got it.
I just don't believe that the Big 12 fans realize how they're going to be destroyed if this League ever happens. The teams around the Southeastern Conference, the Big Ten, are just going to tear them apart. And I would rather play teams that are similar to teams that, like you say, teams want to be playing teams that are similar to them, and that's the only way it's going to happen. Because last time Wisconsin played the Big 12 team, Oklahoma State, in a bowl game, Wisconsin beat Oklahoma State, and I'll leave it at that.
All righty, man. All right. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ryan Willie, thank you for the support, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Chris Kenny. Greg, hypothetical. The top 6 teams in the Big Ten join the SEC.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, hold on for just one moment, please. Please.
Sure.
Chris Kenny, Greg, hypothetical. The top 6 teams in the Big Ten join the SEC, and the bottom 12, including Minnesota, are left out in the Big Ten. What's your argument then? I wouldn't have an argument. I would say that happened because the Big Ten schools, the top brands and the top SEC schools wanted to make more money. They felt that they had a need to make more money. They wanted to have a breakaway. I would not have an argument. But my point is, I'm being consistent. They're going to do that to make more money. But you can't argue that that's a possibility and then do the reverse and say, well, they included everybody, they'd make more money. It's almost like you guys believe that Minnesota is like this incredible anchor and everybody else is so much more valuable. I got to tell you guys something. That is completely, unbelievably wrong. It's like this is what you're arguing almost every single day. The bottom of the Big Ten teams absolutely suck. The bottom of the SEC teams absolutely suck. And if the top teams would leave them, they would make more money. True. But then you say, but if you include the rest of us, they would all make more money. It is unbelievably illogical. I don't have an argument with that, Chris Kenny. But I would argue that I'm the one that's being consistent. I don't understand this argument. I really don't. It's like, yes, Chris, yes. If the top of the Big Ten, and I've been saying this for the 3 years I've had this YouTube channel, if the top of the Big Ten leaves with the top of the SEC, they're going to make a lot more money. And you know what? That might even happen. Or it might not, depending on the interests of the top of the Big Ten schools and the top of the SEC schools. They have other reasons why they're together with their conference mates. But USC left the Pac-12 for economics. The Buckeyes could leave the Big Ten for economics. But to argue that suddenly the Buckeyes would be better off because they brought in all the ACC and the Big 12 schools, that just doesn't hunt with me. It doesn't work. It's inconsistent, in my strongly held opinion. Rock and Rant, the floor is yours. Go ahead, sir.
Well, always interesting, right?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to comment yesterday real quick about the your comments about Mr. Frost. Like, I just don't understand what he was doing. But anyway, at least it gives you something to talk about every time he's in a position, either way. But here, I'm not so to be clear, like, I'm just going to explain a way I think that something could happen. And I'm not necessarily advocating it. And I'm not advocating for, like, the good of the game thing, because nobody's really for the good of the sport. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got their bias on all of that, right? I think the challenge with both your position and those you're arguing against is, like too many things in this country, people only see things A or B, one way or the other. It has to be one way or the other, so therefore you come into conflict. I'm going to suggest that there's 2 ways that people could make more money. One would be the Big Ten, the big brands, getting rid of their 6, right, and make it get more per school. Mm-hmm. For sure. That could happen, right? Mm-hmm. There's also a way where 70 schools get together, get exclusivity, so only one, network. There's a massive bidding war, and they all make more money, including the top brands. Now, you can make an argument that Ohio State in one scenario, as an example, versus the other, might make more money in one scenario, but both of those scenarios could provide a world where they are making more money in their next deal either way, right? It may be like, are you making $20 million more? Are you making $40 million more? And the corollary I would put alongside of that is there's a potential, if you do the P4 thing and everybody gets closed off to the damage it does to the G6, that you also get something through Congress, right, in terms of antitrust, and therefore you also lose less money on the constant maintenance of lawsuits. So to me, both scenarios, if you're just talking about money, can exist. Big Ten, SEC getting rid of the quote unquote lesser brand from a revenue perspective, their per money goes up, creating exclusivity across all of these things. So
I don't know what that means. Creating exclusivity.
If Fox is worried that ESPN is going to have all of college football, the top 70 teams in the entire country, the bidding's going to go up, right? So does that mean it would go up maybe as much for Ohio State as it would if they cut off the bottom of the Big Ten?
But there's not going to be a media partner that's going to have all the content. It wouldn't work. I know what you're saying, but it wouldn't work that. I mean, no,
you say that, but like 10 years ago, nobody thought you'd be watching these on your phone. So in 5 years, when they were talking about this would come together, you're thinking about like time slots and this way or that. Like they could be doing it all mobile. They could do what ESPN is doing right now with the Big 12 down, right, to Warner Discovery. Until you know that how a deal is going to get structured, you can't automatically guarantee that there's not a way for that to make more money than just the Big Ten deal with you. I don't doubt that ultimately, if Ohio State or in Michigan wanted to go for more, that if they went less teams and got rid of 6 teams in the Big 12 or 8 teams or whatever it is, their per school money could go up. I'm just saying there's possibly 2 scenarios where you could go up. One might be more, but it still might be higher in either scenario than the baseline Big Ten contract when it gets renewed, which we also know will also go up. Do I think that will happen? I don't think that scenario would happen, but I don't think it's completely crazy when there's a virtual monopoly or one bidder that gets to decide who the subcontractors are out, or however we're going to be consuming content in 2036 and whether they're worried about teams are going up against each other or not. Right? Maybe they're not going to care if everybody's watching 4 games at once at the same time anyway on every screen.
And there's option C, the Big Ten and the SEC go together and they create this exclusivity and they sell the,
That's the third one they could also do. I don't disagree.
I get your argument. I can't.
I'm only throwing out how that. It's not like it doesn't have to be in either we're right or you're wrong. There's like 3 scenarios where they could make more money per school than just the more money that the Big Ten will likely get in their next contract. One of those is pretty much guaranteed if you're the Big Ten and you have the best brand. But the flip side is you're Coca-Cola, right? And you want to cover the nation, and you can do one package, one place, and get all of those markets at one time. And you write a bigger check, but you get a better deal. So they're not excluding a bunch of schools. So there's different scenarios that all 3 of these could go. I don't necessarily believe I don't believe it's going to happen like you don't believe it's going to happen. I'm not even here advocating for the 70 or anything like that. I'm just trying to throw out a model of, hey, if there's only one deal, then the bidding could get fiercer because you don't have another option. And yes, you could go get the Mountain West in this theory, but we all know, like, relatively, it's not going to have that same value for a network versus losing one of the P4 conferences, at least as they're currently constituted.
Got it, man. You did a good job. I just have a completely different perspective on this. I cannot even fathom, but you know what?
Economic thing. That's what it is. It's just the scarcity aspect. Like if you only have one place to go to get those brands, the scarcity lets you have more price control. That's just boring ass crap, right? And games are coming soon for everybody, but that's the only way I could see it happening. And I don't know that it would happen. I'm just trying to get
I see a world of economic consolidations, brands playing brands more often. I see these conferences that have got leadership working with their media partners, trying to figure out how to push their brand, how to push they're talking to private equity, and when it comes to conference expansion, they're looking at all these things. This school, like this location, could increase our value in the next 10. There's all this work that has gone into it, and suddenly there's going to be a 72, 70 team league, that's going to have different tiers of payments, so it's not going to all be shared. There's no way, excuse me, but there's no way that a Cincinnati, a UCF, a Wake Forest are going to make as much money as Ohio State. You're still going to have the disparity, even if all this delusion, in my opinion, happened. I'm not buying any of it. I think.
I don't. Yeah. Again, like I'm just talking about how you could do it. I agree with you. I don't think that's the case. But if they, the only way I could see that those schools want to even go down a different path is the calculation of if they keep getting sued to oblivion because they don't have antitrust exemption, right? So it doesn't matter if you keep making more money if you get destroyed on the other side constantly because you can't get the legislation passed.
Yeah. All right, man.
I was being devil's advocate, not advocating or believing that's the path.
And you did a great job. And a lot of people appreciate your phone call in the chat. Rod Nix's great point, Rock. So you're making a lot of great points.
Well, have fun debating. I'm going to get some popcorn.
Got it. All right. Appreciate it, my man.
Be good.
Beautiful. Rock and roll. Don Scruggs, I'm incredibly unbiased here. ESPN and Fox are in business to make as much money as possible. If creating the Super League of 70 teams would maximize money, ESPN and Fox would be pushing for it hard, but they're doing the opposite. I understand what Rock and Rand is saying. It's like the problem is Fox owns part of the Big Ten, and you're not going to have this. You're not going to have this, I don't know. Don't see it happen. I do not see it happen. I think, gotta hang up that. There we go.
Call from
Chef Maul.
Chef Maul is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hey, what's going on, Greg? I finally don't have any kids in the car. So
beautiful. I love kids, but beautiful. Thanks for calling, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, and the one thing that I've come to learn, obviously I'm a Miami fan, but what I notice a lot of times is that the state of, I feel, college fandom in 2025 is people just holding on to their narrative that makes their team feel better. So if you're one of these 70 schools, you're going to say this idea is great. Or if you're in the Big Ten, like everybody tries so hard to hold on to their narrative. One thing I do like about your show is, you allow different voices to come together to discuss these kind of topics where in most of our ecosystem we wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah.
So I think that's great.
Thanks.
In terms of, so I wanted to say that. For a while, I've wanted to bring up the stuff with Miami and Wisconsin, not in terms of who's right or wrong, but the way I kind of saw it becoming. I feel like it's just a case study they're trying to do. So once everything's in place, they've kind of worked out A to Z so they could figure out, what tampering is. That's one thing I wanted to bring up a while ago, and I feel like there isn't really this big animosity between Miami and Wisconsin and the Big Ten. I just think it makes it newsworthy, because if this would have been, let's say, Wake Forest and Illinois, and it's the same scenario, it wouldn't get as much, coverage. So I think Big Ten's using that, as a way to get enough ears to listen to
to talk about it. And the last point I wanted to bring up was in terms of the Big 12 and their idea of 5 and 11. What is your mark getting out of not taking those 2 spots? I'm still confused by it. And for me, it seems like you get the 2 spots, and then you really got a chance for a third versus 5 plus 11. You just don't know where it's going to go. Well, I guess they're trying to angle the whole not having polls, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what your mark's long play is in this. I'm struggling to see it, and I know you're bringing it up. I think a lot of people are so used to kind of giving your mark benefit of the doubt, but I'm really struggling to see the point. Or let me say, if Jim Phillips was saying what your mark was saying, the noise would be way different.
Yeah, I'm struggling too, because what I see is the AQ model puts a higher floor in for the Big 12 and does not put a limit on them getting a third or fourth qualifying team. But the 5 plus 11 has a lower floor for the Big 12. The data completely shows that the Big 12 is better off with the AQ model, but I guess emotions are overriding data. So I don't know. Maybe Brett Yormark is gonna get a sweetheart scheduling deal with the SEC. Maybe there's something else going on. I do not know. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
But
2 thoughts I had was maybe just an agreement of making sure there's no realignment in the next 5 years. I was thinking something like that. And the only other thing I could think of that would just make sense, but it just doesn't make sense. Is just how can I put this? I kind of lost my thought, but just essentially, how does this is the point I was trying to make. I'm sorry.
No problem.
The part I fear the most is you have a situation. I'll give you a simple hypothetical. LSU is 10-1 in the 5 plus 11. LSU's 10-1. They play a 6-5 Texas A&M to end the year, and they know that we lose this game, we're still 10-2
Yep.
SEC. We're not gonna. And that's the part I don't think people are seeing. So where teams could clinch their spot with 2-3 weeks left in the season in the SEC and kind of coast, maybe even rest starters and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Versus we're hoping people are playing, in intense games 1 through 12. So I haven't heard anyone really say it that way. I just wanted to put that in the air for your show.
Yeah.
So that fear of a 10-1 LSU being able to coast, knowing that even if we lose, we're 10-2, and we're one of the top 6 or 7 based on these inflated numbers.
Yep. Yeah. With that play-in game, nobody gets to coast, or hardly anybody. With that play-in game, again, in my strongly held opinion, a lot of people disagree with me in the PATC family, but the AQ model makes the regular season so much more valuable for so many more games, for so many more teams.
I agree.
Yeah. Alrighty, sir. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Great call. Great call. Chef Maul, please call again.
Call from
Correct.
Thanks for calling, Rick. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Did you happen to catch the Big 12 Media Days today?
I've heard a little bit about it. Was there any breaking news or?
Well, I wouldn't call it breaking news, but I was taken back by, and I wish I could give credit to the head coach who made the statement, but I don't remember which one of them it was. They had 8 coaches on the stage yesterday, and a narrator asking them questions. And then they did the same thing today with the second 8 head coaches and the same narrator asking them questions. But one of them mentioned, and he tended to speak on behalf of the other 7, that they wanted, the Big 12 coaches, wanted equal conference games played by all conferences.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. But, yeah. I mean, the Big 12, they're getting, the data shows it. 9 conference games is not good for the Big 12 because that gives the conferences mathematically more automatic losses versus the SEC.
And they understood, and that coach understood that.
Yep.
And speaking on behalf of the other coaches, they obviously agreed. I mean, it's pretty simple math. You don't.
Yep.
You don't need a degree for that one.
Yep.
And then the other thing was that he also indicated he wished, and it's understandable. I think he was hinting at your man there, Cody, that he wished there was equal revenue amongst all the schools to allow for parity, instead of one school like an Oregon and a Phil Knight and a Texas Tech and a Cody Campbell having an unfair advantage over all the other schools with regard to filling up the nil coffer. All of which got me thinking again about the need for collective bargaining and treating this like the professional sport that it is, with the multi-billion-dollar salaries that they're passing out to their players, regardless if it's done under the guise of the NCAA. Still a professional game, a professional game that needs to be regulated professionally. And it got me also thinking about the professional teams. Like, you've got the Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys and what used to be Al Davis and the Raiders, and I forget the guy there for the Washington Redskins. He was a big money guy who does all these great things for the team, but what they don't do is give the players extra money because there's a salary cap. And that's where it's got to get to. It's got to get to a salary cap in college football.
Okay.
Some way, somehow.
Now, I love this call because it's something I really wanted to talk about. I'm for a collective bargaining agreement. I'm for collective bargaining, representative of labor and ownership and all that stuff. I think it's going to be very, very complicated, extremely complicated. But just because it's tough doesn't mean you don't do it, right? I cannot foresee one CBA among all parties. I think it's going to have to be divided up because I don't think representation in the Big Ten and the SEC representing that labor, I don't think they want to bring on the labor of other, because whatever. I don't even have to go down that rabbit hole. But here's the thing, Rick. Even in a CBA world, in a collective bargaining world, where you have a collective bargaining agreement, it takes a commitment to follow the damn rules. The collective bargaining agreement, in it of itself, there is no magical lotion in there that makes franchises not break the rules. In a collective bargaining agreement, let's say you have a hard cap like the NFL. Each of those NFL franchises are committed to following the rules. You pay your players per contract. You do not subsidize an extra payment through some pay-for-play arrangement. But that can still happen because a CBA doesn't magically make people behave. The franchises of these sport leagues are committed to following the rules. The players cannot take player inducement payments. So, if we get a collective bargaining agreement in college football right now, Rick, I got to tell you, I still don't think a lot of people are going to follow the rules. You're going to have bag man. You're going to have all this extra money. And because I love college football, man. I love it. It's my passion. It's why we do this show. Ask my wife. Ask my family. Ask my friends. I love this. The history, the pageantry, it brings people together. But there is a sickness in this college sports. It's an underbelly. It's a sickness. It's this like cheating is cool, man. It is what we need to do. If people are basically arguing on Twitter and on college football YouTube channels, they're arguing that the reason why there's cheating going on is because there's not a collective bargaining agreement. The reason there's cheating going on is because people like to cheat. People like to say, oh, there's not a franchise, there's not an ownership. You mean I can be, I as a person that has $30 million can make a big impact on my school. I can put a bunch of money in a bag and give it to this kid so he comes to the school. None of that disappears because of a collective bargaining agreement. There's still going to be rules. And I've got so little faith. And it's the big negative in college football. I focus on college football, but it's in college basketball and other places. People are going to cheat, man, and they do not cheat in the NFL. Rick, they do not cheat in the NBA. LeBron James, the money that he gets from the Lakers is in his contract. And then he has big NIL deals, commercial deals. But with college kids, they're not as marketable. A lot of these kids don't, the population don't, their NIL deals ain't worth this much, but they're getting paid it because it's an inducement. And just because a collective bargaining agreement comes aboard, you're still going to have cheating. And that ain't cool. It ain't good, guys. It ain't. It's going to destroy this whole thing if people keep cheating. I know a lot of you think this is cool. It's a renegade. We're the rebels. Bagman's been around 50 years, and so we should cheat. You're going to destroy the sport. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, the only way I guess I could respond is that there's got to be a penalty, maybe even criminal, I don't know, but a penalty, financially, suspension or something, in the NFL and the NBA.
There is.
Prohibit. Well, that would be the same enforcement lever that would have to be used in college football.
Yeah, but we have that now. I mean, what I'm saying is a CBA doesn't magically make people behave. It doesn't.
Well, the CBA is separate. The CBA is separate.
I got it.
That's between the players and the team.
Yes.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the NFL Incorporated.
Yes.
The National Basketball Association Incorporated, and going to College Football Incorporated.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Yeah. But,
and use that same strong arm that the NFL and the NBA use to punish owners, whomever the owners of college football might be. I don't care if it's a Knight, a Phil Knight, or Cody Campbell, or a bunch of stockholders. But to punish them, without mercy for violation, because that's what the NFL would do to Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for taking the call.
You got it. Appreciate it. Beautiful call, Rick. Bobby Hanson's, that sounds like anti-capitalism and anti-American idea. No, it ain't. No, I keep getting... no, it's not. The product that you are selling is competition. So when a sports league or an association wants to drive up the product, which is competition, they put rules into place. That's capitalism. You know, when a soap company sells a bar of soap, they try to make the soap a very good soap. They use a price point that people will buy, the quality of the perfume, whatever goes into selling a thing of soap, right? That's the product, the soap. College football, NFL, NHL, baseball, it's competition. Now, some sport leagues, the competition part of it, they don't push as much, like Major League Baseball, which is why it's not as anywhere close to successful as the NFL. The NFL went all in on the product of competition. It's not anti-capitalism to have a payment structure on your labor to make sure that you can pay the bills and that there is competition between teams. That's not anti-capitalism. But that type of comment ruled the day on Major League Baseball. When the player unions were so strong and the agents, Major League Baseball is run by a handful of agents and a handful of billionaires. And it has absolutely destroyed the sport, the competition. Is that what you want in college football? Does everybody want to just lay down for the top 1 or 2% of the sport athletes in college football and wreck everything else? You got to have some sort of cap. And you can have your NIL deals, but they got to be true NIL deals. They can't be player inducements. If you had player inducements in the NFL and the NHL, it would have wrecked those leagues. And they know it. You can't have it in college sports. That's what we're trying to get rid of. But people are like, I don't know. Maybe people don't want college football anymore. Maybe they just want to win some sort of argument. We got to follow the damn rules. We're not going to have... I know that's very uncool for me to say that. But man, guys, you think these professional leagues, they don't follow the rules? They do. But we can't have following the rules in college sports? That is the underbelly of that is the sickness that is going on. There's nothing illegal, unethical, or wrong about NIL deals. And they can be massive. If there's a true commercial component to your NIL deals, go for it. But a player inducement, pay to play, we can't have that. The NFL does not allow it. And most of the time, it's because the franchises follow the rules. If we don't follow the rules, all this is going to disappear. You know, if we don't follow the rules here, if not every school follow the rules, your school is going to be paying could be a $20 billion, part of a $20 billion back pay settlement instead of a $2.8 billion. Do you think your billionaire is going to help pay for your school's slice of that back payment? No, he's going to disappear. Follow the rules. I've got nothing against these billionaires supporting their school programs. None. They should be allowed to. They should be allowed to use their own commercial money to support the players that they want to support. But player inducements, it's got to go. The NFL, it's not there. The NBA, it's not there. The NHL, it's not there. So why do you want to have it in college football? That's my question. Heartbreak 25. Thoughts on Penn State's historic hockey recruiting class? Our wealthiest alum loves hockey over football. There's a lot of wealthy hockey. I get that. You got the number one recruit. It could be Penn State's year. It's going to be fascinating to watch. You got the number one guy, the number one NHL draft. It's going to be fun to watch. Heartbreak 25. Congratulations. Thank you for the super chat. Penn State is the favorite. They're the chalk to win their first national men's hockey championship. Hopefully the Minnesota Golden Gophers can spoil it for you. But congratulations, Heartbreak 25. Thank you so very much. The rules have been specific, the architect, and every school signed on to it. Now, they're going to have to get more specific. I would agree with that. But every school signed on to it. Now we're blaming that nobody knows the rules. Well, blame it on your school then. They all signed on to this. They were a part of the rulemaking. The Sports Commission have come out with the rules. I think it's all I think most of it's deflection. Now, the Deloitte Clearinghouse is going to have to get up to speed. Things are going to have to get ironed out. And if there's any questions, ladies and gentlemen, the architect and everybody else, if there's any questions about the rules, it goes up to the plaintiff lawyers. I forget the guy's name, Kessler and the other guy. And they're going to make the determination. In other words, the House lawyers have got everybody under the thumb. And they've got a big hammer. And that hammer is they can rip up this agreement. And now your school isn't going to be paying a slice of the $2.8 billion. They're going to be paying a slice of the $20 billion. And I'm okay. So there's some confusion on the rules. There's still a whole lot of cheating going on. Clean it up, or we're in trouble. Collective bargaining itself doesn't stop rule breaking. It doesn't. Minnesota's cheating with their TV deal. They don't deserve, I guess. You guys are killing me. The NFL breaks the salary cap and they pay the fine. Yes, they pay the fine. And your school is going to have to pay a fine if it goes over the cap. No, I'm not accusing Tech of cheating. Nope. There's no reason for me to. Thank you, Cranky Tiger. I'm not accusing Tech of cheating. I'm just saying follow the rules. There's no reason to think that Texas, look, they're going to have massive NIL deals. They front loaded their NIL. They're going to go with the 20, they're going to, whatever the cap is, 20.5 million, I'm sure Texas Tech is going to follow the rules. I got no problem. No, collective bargain is not every team has to be paid equally. Collective bargaining is between labor and ownership. That's not what that's not what collective bargaining is. Don Scruggs, I did not say that. You're getting me in trouble. Okay, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I think we got one donation. No, we got a couple. Heartbreak 25. Thank you so much, Caleb Ramirez and Ryan Willie. I do appreciate it. We've been on the air for almost 2 hours. No, over 2 hours. Holy smokes. I got to get going. It is Wednesday evening. I got to get on the road, taking the wife some places. So if you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button before you leave. I do appreciate it. The last 2 days has been a lot of this. Hopefully tomorrow, July 10th, Thursday, hopefully we can all be kumbaya together. We can talk college football. I'm going to do another spotlight. I'm going to agree with everything you guys say. You're going to agree with everything hopefully tomorrow, it's all peace in the land of the PATC Loserville City, which I am the mayor. Hopefully everybody is peaceful tomorrow. Thank you, Buckeye Tex, Rod Nix, John Dry, Fox Quindaro. Thank you, Al Woody. Appreciate it. Thank you, Architect. D5 Terps. He wants Florida State in Miami. Get it done, Big Ten. Get it done. Okay, see you tomorrow. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.